Hey, welcome to lesson one of the idiom course. This lesson is called What is an Idiom? It should actually be called Fun with Idioms because we're going to do a little fun exercise today. So, in our introduction course, I shared with you my idea of, when I think of idioms, how I think of them as kind of like those family jokes or personal inside jokes, right? And I gave the one, my example of probably Landon, which is still one of my favorites. So, we're going to talk a little bit more today in general about idioms, and then the lessons after this one, we'll get into specific ones for each lesson. When you logged in and you went to this course and you came to the page, I have listed for you 3 books that I've used throughout this course on biblical idioms, and we're going to be using one of these today. Also in there, I have a little assignment for you that I really want you to do before you watch this video. So if you haven't done that assignment yet, I do, encourage you to stop this video, go ahead and do that, and then start back with the video. So the assignment, you can see it, I've written it down, but I'll also tell you about it. What I want you to do is, from memory, write down all the American idioms that you can think of. And then when you have completely exhausted, your list, you can ask family members, you can ask friends, but they have to do it from memory too. That's the only thing. You got to try to remember what these American idioms are, right? So if you haven't done that, go ahead and do that. Stop the tape and then come on back and we'll move on. Okay, so let's have some fun. I'm going to read you a little story from this book, which I realize you probably are seeing backwards. It's called An American Idiomatic Story. And what I want you to do is listen carefully and see if you can pick out all of the American idioms that are in the story. John Idiom is a middle-aged businessman stuck in the rat race of life. He planned a corporate outdoor picnic until the rain clouds violently rolled in. John was so mad he blew a fuse because of the wet conditions. His big plans were now ruined. He was boiling over. "It's raining cats and dogs," he told himself. You see, a meteorologist had told him straight from the horse's mouth that it was supposed to rain hard. John thought his friend was just pulling his leg and that the story didn't hold water. But now he was really up a creek without a paddle. How could John host a cookout without mouth-watering hamburgers in the pouring rain? "Darn," said John. "I guess that's just the way the cookie crumbles." He pushed his grill back under his carport and worried that because of his failures, his boss might give him the axe. Poor John Idiom. Now, I gave you a couple of hints with my eyes, but not all of them. So, how many did you come up with? If you want, you can put that in the comments below under this lesson, and we'll compare and see if you were able to pick out all of the American idioms. So, what do you think of that story? Now, if you were raised in American culture, you would have understood all of the idioms in that story. If this story was translated into, I don't know, any other language, it would be translated exactly word for word for word, and the people reading it in or hearing it in that other language wouldn't understand these particular idioms. And that's kind of the thing how idioms are when they come from an original language. The meaning behind those literal words doesn't get translated, right? So one of my absolute favorite American idioms is "keep your eye on the road," right? Now, years and years and years ago, when I was in high school, one of my friends was a foreign exchange student from Belgium. And so English was not his first language. And I was driving him and a couple other friends to, I don't know, some extracurricular activity, right? And somebody in the back seat, I can't imagine why they said this, but they're like, "Hey, Gail, keep your eyes on the road." I don't know, because, I'm a good driver. Was back then too. But my friend, Bertrand is his name, he had this puzzled look on his face. Like he was really, really concerned. And yeah, okay, so when I was looking at him and his face, yeah, my eyes were not on the road. Um, but I asked him, what, you okay? What's wrong? And he's like, I don't know what they just said. What is that? What do you mean? Keep your eyes on the road. And we all had a good laugh about it. And so I still think of that. That's like one of my favorite examples of an American idiom that when you take it literally, keep your eyes on the road. When you take it literally, uh, that's not at all what it means. I mean, it means pay attention, look where you're going, kind of a thing. But translate that word for word exact into another language. Think about it, literally, and you're going to get confused, right? So let me read you several idioms that we think of as American culture, but actually they came from scripture. So this will be, for some of you, you'd be like, yeah, I remember where that is. I know where that is in scripture. And others of them, you might, be surprised that they came from scripture. And this is from the same book. Go the second mile, kill the fatted calf, eat the forbidden fruit, the straight and narrow, handwriting on the wall, law unto himself, inheriting the wind, manna to fall from heaven, walk on water, spare the rod, spoil the child, love of money is the root of all evil, meek would inherit the earth, man does not live by bread alone, casting pearls before swine, the leopard he could not change his spots, be all things to all men, eat, drink, and be merry, and brother's keeper. So as I was reading those, you may have been thinking, oh yeah, I know that's from this book and that's from this. And but yeah, these are all idioms that we use in American culture that came from the scripture. And so these ones that I listed here, these Hebrew idioms, these aren't going to be the ones we're going to talk about in the rest of the lessons. We're going to talk about the ones that we may think we understand them based on our Western culture, but we'll find out that actually they mean, I'm not going to say they mean the opposite of what we think, but we're going to find out that some of these idioms that we're going to get into and talk about, that they mean very, very different things than what maybe we've been taught. All right. So with that, that's the conclusion of this lesson 1, and I will see you in the next lesson.